All right. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nexus. Welcome back to the Wolves of All Street for yet another AMA event. Today, I have the proud honor and privilege of speaking with ZeroX Various, the designer of Monstro's Universe, which is an NFT series that explores creative and fun yield avenues on chain. Various, how you doing today, Chief?
I'm doing well. I just want to toss out, a hello to everyone who's in here with us and to yourself. I know, we haven't spoken before, but my team speaks very highly of you and your community.
I really appreciate that. I try to put on the most informative and deepest diving AMAs in the space, and the community is enlisted to help me do that. I cannot put on this show without them. So, if as much as the community tells me I'm the essential component, I flip that around. They're the essential component. I'm
Yeah.
just the
Well,
host.
I expect some difficult questions then. Nothing is off limits as far as, everyone who knows me or Monstro. So
Yes, and I always encourage the community to bring their finest questions and all of their knowledge, skills, and abilities to bear in this show. Anyone who is in the audience, either on Twitch or on Discord, if you would please hit the AMA guidelines section to get your reaction roll, that will entitle you to access to airdrops and rewards, as well as chat participation and asking questions. Now, I would first start us out by asking you to tell us anything that you'd like us as a community to know to help get to know you and your team.
yeah, so I'll start with how, Monstro came about. It's a quick little story that we've been in the space. When I say we, I mean myself and our co-founders, probably for about 3.5 years now, maybe, almost going on to 4 years full time. And two of us had a former company called Master Brews. We did a lot on the NFT side, raising funds to build out actual video games, which we have two that are, they paused, unfortunately, when the bear market hit. We couldn't keep crowdfunding them. I won't jump into all our VC talks, but let's just say they were less than friendly, and we declined several offers with predatory terms as far as tokenomics and things. And we decided, you know what, let's move ourselves over to the DeFi side, try to build some positive relationships with some communities there. We jumped into a project some people might remember called Optimus. They lost,
Oh, yeah.
12 to 14 million dollars of people's money. We came in originally just on the tech side, trying to help everyone figure out exactly what each person lost, because it was a mess. There were like mixing involved. There was, let's just say routers with some suspicious code. There was 4 different tokens. There was 2 different chains involved. Long story short, we ended up actually just taking it over as a recovery project. There wasn't much money left, but we got that money. We said, let's, build something for them out of it. Let's invest it. Let's try to yield farm, etc. And of course, we were still deep in the bear and it wasn't doing very well. And from that, we decided, hey, let's launch a project. Let's do a gamified player lotto. Unlike the other, crypto lottos, a lot of them focus on the investors being the actual players. We wanted to take more of a wide stream, mainstream appeal to it, try to attract actual players like through display ads and such.
Oh, yeah.
But we tried to raise 75K and we only got 25K. So, it was one of those things. We just couldn't raise enough funds at the time, and it was obviously, again, a red time in the market. So we offered everyone their refund back, and other than like 2 small people, everyone said no. They refused their refund.
Wow.
They asked, is there anything else we can do? They liked what we had done to try to help Optimus and such, and they liked, some of the things we built in the past. So we decided, you know what? Well, let's make a go of yield farming. But let's do it on new chains. Let's do it like as a high risk, high APR type, very, very transparent yield farming project where everything is public and people know it's high risk, high APR and, could totally fail. And we took that 25K, started producing some really nice results. It was kind of right when base chain launched, so we got in on a few early dexes that had some crazy returns initially. And from there we've grown, and now FARMZ, 9 months later, we've had just about $2 million put in. We pay out every single week. Everything is transparent. We've done everything we've said. And we've, started building out some of our other roadmap items and products. And MOONBAGZ is one that we want to talk about today here. So
Excellent. All right. My first sort of diving in question. You've clearly been in the space doing this for a while, at least on Binance Smart Chain. What do you think of the current state of the market with respect to NFTs?
So a lot of people, just like last bull run, still view it, and if they don't take the time to, look behind it, all they think is rug, scam, worthless JPEGs. That's very much still the prevailing sentiment. And we use them to kind of differentiate ourselves, but it's a double-edged sword because we get serious investors who, unless they talk to us, unless they do their due diligence, they pass it, just pass it by, and they think it's an NFT project, or rather a PFP project, which was all the hype last cycle.
Oh, yeah.
Which is not the case at all. We can be doing everything we're doing with no NFTs. We can just have wallet addresses in the contracts. We could have a token instead of an NFT. An NFT is a token, it's just a different type, right? And really, it was all about us trying to build a brand that stood out amongst all the more, financial fintech type looking products, or TradeFi. So we think, it did accomplish that for us, but now we're actually in the middle of a rebranding a little bit to, I won't say, we're not getting rid of it at all, but we're going to balance it a little better, try to make things look a little more professional and not immediately turn off people. Even influencers we've tried to work with for marketing, some of them don't look, for more than 2-3 minutes, and they're just like, no, we don't touch NFT projects. And we're like, that's not what we do at all. Like, at this point, we've paid out over $1 million in the past couple of months. So it's definitely something where we're getting a bit of that NFT stigma, but we're trying to show people, it's just a technical vehicle. It's a facilitator. NFT technology is awesome. It's going to be everywhere in the world without you knowing it. Places everything from ticket sales to banking. But yeah, we're stuck right now still in that phase where a lot of people look down on NFTs.
I don't disagree. It's unfortunate that a lot of the last cycle entrants didn't do anything interesting. They just did the PFP thing, and that always bothered me and a ton of other people in the community. Nobody wanted to just buy a PFP, right? Like, people want to buy something that'll gain in value or pay some kind of dividend, in essence. I noticed that you're building an auto compounder.
So that's something that's heavily requested, and we never wanted to offer it or even employ it really across the board for what we do, because we've seen, both in our own experiences and in other projects, a lot of people, when they see compounding, right, they get very unrealistic expectations when they start using the daily compound calculator and they put projections for like 5 years. And the other thing is, with the high risk farming and yield farming, and there's a lot of impermanent loss, there's chances where if you're compounding a ton and compounding all your rewards, and then the assets drop maybe for months, right? Well, now you don't have any rewards until the recovery. So we chose not to do it, but people really, really wanted it. And we figured, what, we're going to start doing it for those. We had a product which was an ROI DApp. We call it with a safety net. So this is a community request. Folks wanted us to build out an ROI DApp, right, where you can get insane daily returns, and we all know how those end. They all end in zero. If you were early enough, or maybe a large size enough, you could have got out with profit. Most people lose in those. So we launched DGens back in December, putting our spin on it, where 30% of all deposits went to a yield farming backup plan for when it ends. that is farming and recovering you money on your behalf. Even though it could take a really long time, it's better than zero. So that's what we did, and that's the people that are going to be in this auto compounder. We named it Blobby. They'll all be part of the blob, and by burning their Degens NFTs that represent, what they're owed and what they're getting every week to recover, they'll be able to enter a 50-50 compounder, which will speed up their recovery because it's already a long-term thing. So we felt, that's a good way to test the waters with it. Also satisfy the folks, who want to do that, and speed up the recovery for these folks that were playing the ROI DApp and didn't come out as winners.
Okay. I guess the next question, the direct follow-up to that is there any hint or info that you can drop on Blobby that would indicate to us how the auto compounding will technically function? I ask because this is the sort of thing I die for. The community knows I can't talk enough about compounded interest.
Yeah, so it's going to be pretty simple. It's actually not as much about the compounding of the positions per se, or the yield farming. There might be, again, some involved in that, some not. It's more about the fact that it's auto compounding. We call things units. So if you buy one FARMZ NFT, right, that's one unit. It represents your share in the pool. So essentially, let's say you made, a unit is 100 USDC. Let's say you made 10 USDC this week, and you're getting, half of that compounded. Well, you'll receive 5, and your units would increase by 0.05. So this is how you're compounding your position. Whereas right now, if you wanted to reinvest, it would be manual, but there is that 100 USDC minimum as well. So for
That
the small folk,
0.05 is almost like a loyalty point. Like you've held on to it, you're gonna get more equity as a result.
I mean, it's just a way of reinvesting without the minimum barrier, and that
Okay.
helps a lot of the smaller folk, right? Someone
Yeah.
large, right? Like if you hold a lot of NFTs and I paid you 1,000 USDC this week, you could go buy, a bunch of farms, and that's how you compound if that's what you want to do. So this just makes it automatic, but it really helps the small folk who their weekly payout wouldn't meet, let's say, the minimum to buy a brand new whole farm. Now they can get fractional pieces to increase every week.
Okay. Do you have any plans to build NFTs with this kind of utility on other blockchains besides Binance Smart Chain?
Yeah, so we've actually made this is a 100% final public decision that we are moving to base chain. We're not sure, obviously, on the exact timing. It'll probably be somewhere at the beginning of summer. So maybe we're looking at July. There's a lot of things we want to do to kind of improve the efficiency and automate some more things, especially around payday and future flexibility with the smart contracts. But yeah, base is going to be our new home. Now, we might leave legacy options on Binance for those already there who really prefer it or still want their payments there. We've always wanted to be omni-chain. We actually worked with Chainlink since we were a tier 1 partner of theirs, tech partner in the past. We worked with their team about CCIP options. The things we want to do with it, it's not in their roadmap for now anymore. They didn't see, they thought it'd be a very niche demand, which is understandable as,
Yeah.
the business and size they are. So yeah, that kind of put a damper on like doing things with true omni-chain liquidity, like one source of liquidity that sits outside time and space kind of ideas. If you want to look at it like the multiverse. But yeah, we're gonna definitely move to base chain. We'll probably still offer legacy support for Binance. And then if as there's demand, we'll look at expanding and allowing other chains to join in. Why not?
Okay. All right, at this point in the show, I'll usually try to have a diagram that would illustrate as clearly as possible how the yield and the workflow for the protocol works. I couldn't find that diagram when I was looking through the documents, so I'm going to ask as a question if you could just break it down for me because it seems kind of complex in the documentation how the NFT yield functions work. It seems to work by weekly epochs, but I'm not really 100% sure on that, so I wanted to ask for clarification.
Yeah, so if you're new to Monstro and you come to our sale page for farms, you purchase a farm, right? It's 105 USDC, and there's actually a reason of that extra five. Um, we made this as a gap solution because all our NFTs ROI in groups. They're not currently individuals. So if we have an NFT that, let's say, is already 15% ROI'd on its cycle, and you buy into that, why wouldn't you wait just for the next one, right? And create a gap in buying. So to solve that, we put a little $5 tax, which goes to the previous group. Um, so that's something. So that's the reason why it's 105 now, not 100 USDC. But outside of that five, all the money, 100% of it, when you purchase your NFT, it goes directly into our working capital, which we use on, across different chains, different dexes, different pools. Some of them are farming rewards, some of them are concentrated liquidity. It immediately goes into that. The team has no upfront fees or take. And then every week you get paid out your share. It's airdropped to you in USDC. You don't have to claim, you don't have to do anything. So literally, you could buy the NFT on Tuesday. Our paydays are Wednesday. You could buy it on Tuesday and get your first payment, the next day, the next morning. And people find that pretty cool. So yeah, there is an extensive wiki because there's a lot of different things we have going on and a lot of different products.
Yeah, there
Farms
were
was
a
just the
lot of
first of one of
products,
them.
and there was like multiple series at this point. It was just trying to dissect it. It was a little confusing for me.
Yeah, so we're actually having our team work on some explainer videos, try to make it a lot more digestible for people who don't want to read pages, right, of a wiki. So hopefully we get those videos out, right? They're going to be small, short, simple, and explain that a little better to people. But our newest product, the one we're promoting right now that actually launched yesterday, MOONBAGZ, this one is very simple, very straightforward. There's only one page in the wiki, and that's the one we really want to talk about here because it
Oh
is
yeah.
our newest release. So
Oh yeah. And before we kick it to the community, that is my final question for my personal docket. You really flew through. Sometimes I get super substantive answers, so I try to time it and plan for that, but you're killing it so far, Chief. We're really blazing. Let's
yeah, I
talk.
realized I can ramble on forever, but most people appreciate us keeping it within a time frame.
Oh yeah. With that, let's talk about MOONBAGZ. So how is the trading and the profit taking going to work when we're talking about index funds? Who or what Skynet intelligence is deciding when to stop the losses?
Well, there hopefully will be no losses to stop, but yes, we're doing this. So the first thing to clarify, because a lot of people ask, this is probably the most frequent question. We will not be actively trading. We'll be actively monitoring, but we will not be actively trading these tokens that are in the index. The goal is to make it very, simple. We purchase them at a time right now we feel is a great time that in a year everybody's going to be in profit on all of them. Now, I'm sure realistically some might miss, right? Some might not run. It's all, nothing is guaranteed for sure. But out of everything we do, this is like our highest conviction play that there'll be no losers in it. We're very confident. The team's also buying these NFTs, right, for MOONBAGZ as our own, save for the bull run and take advantage of tokens. So we're very, confident slash excited about this product, um, because we feel everyone getting into it is going to be very happy at the end. But yeah, we're not going to actively trade things. There's a lot of research going into the initial picks, and then really it's just about monitoring them. We might cut some early if we feel they flew faster than expected, or they outpaced the market, outperformed other things. Everyone does have an option though of an early withdrawal if they disagree with our management of it and our strategy with the tokens. But in general, we buy it now, we look for X's by the time the bull run is in full swing, and we envision that time to be roughly June, July next year. We think that's where it'll peak. Absolutely, we could be wrong. Could be earlier, could be later, but that's the general idea behind MOONBAGZ.
Okay. I guess the follow-up question to that is you say it's going to be monitored but not actively traded. Uh, let's say in 6 months before the end of Q4 2024, we'll see a big change in the market where, say, one of the narratives you guys picked goes sky high. How would the management work on taking profits there?
So it's, I guess, it's going to depend on, how high we're talking. That's obviously relative. If we, determine, so each index is also going to have 8 to 12 tokens. So it might be something where a whole narrative boomed and ran, and we thought, okay, maybe there's small chance it's going to run any further. Let's cash it out now and pay people out. We can do that. Maybe there's only certain tokens that ran within the index. We can cash those out, and send people their money and keep the rest. Or, what is probably more likely is we take a little profit off the top, make sure everyone in that bucket is, ROI'd already and in profit, and then let the rest ride if we still think there's upside potential. So it's fully flexible, right? Because it is manually managed. We can make whatever decisions we feel are the best. And, everyone should know, like, again, there's no upfront fees. So everything we make only comes at the same time we pay people out. And it's a percentage of that, 15%. So it's in our best interest to make, maximize that money in those decisions, for everyone, because the more they make, the more we make, and that's always the way with Monstro products. So
All right. With that, blazing right along, we'll get right into community questions. Mike H is our first questioner. He asks, while a 15 to 30% fee might be preferential to gas prices for those looking to invest a small amount, the price per unit is $50. Depending on the tokens, the gas prices will be in a similar range to the fees with the purchase of a single unit. For those looking to buy many units, is there a financial benefit to investing in the index instead of the underlying tokens?
yes, there is. So I'll go over a few of those. And one is, not everyone has, time to do their own research and pick their own tokens. We've heard that from, some of our larger investors, just as from the small ones. And we do have several large investors who plan to use MOONBAGZ simply because they're too busy, right? They don't want the hassles. So that's aspect number one. Number two is, yes, there's a lot of components involved because, what if you need a different wallet for a token that's on a different chain? You need to involve bridging. You need to worry about slippage. There's a lot of things that, some people might just not want to bother with, or they might feel it's dangerous, right? If someone doesn't have that much experience, what if they mess up with a bridge, or what if the wallet they create, it wasn't particularly safe or something, or they downloaded it from a bad link. A lot of stuff can happen, and a lot of people just don't like having that hassle. So we would say, like, if you are someone who already trades tokens, buys your own tokens, watches all the YouTube videos about what picks people are promoting, maybe that's, MOONBAGZ is not for you, or it's still a diversification, right? It's still going to be different than your own choices, but it's really targeted to the people who, trust us, don't have time, and just want to put their money there and then reap rewards in the future. And that's the whole idea of MOONBAGZ. Is it is passive, right? We're in the passive income space in Monstro, so it's about as passive as you can get with, buying tokens. And then, we will mention that some people laugh at this and they mention, it's absolutely true for them. It's been for me as well. It's very easy to make great entries. It's very hard to make great exits,
Amen.
because you either hold too long, too short, right? You get greedy, you get dreams of, I'm at 50x, but yeah, I think it'll go to 100x, right? And then you
And then
round trip
you
all the way back down.
bumble it
So
back down to 20x.
yeah, so it takes away the emotions from people as well. Although they still do have that option for early withdrawal if they want out. We're not holding anything hostage, but not having it in your hands and in your, like, day to day, it kind of removes that emotion for you, right?
Absolutely. All right, Mike's second question. You say early withdrawals will receive payment in the underlying tokens instead of USDC. Who pays the gas fees for that transfer? And the user also follows up with saying, users owning a single NFT, will there be other options for early withdrawal? Typically, the gas fees for transferring and swapping tokens can be considerable. I know that's true on mainnet. It might not be as bad on Binance Smart Chain, and definitely not as bad on Base Chain, but I kind of digress there.
Yeah. Well, overall, in purchasing the tokens, right, those are fees that we incur. It's part of our fee. It's not something we pass on. Now, when we're sending you the tokens, again, we'll pay the transfer fees. It will be minimal because other than Ethereum, really, and even on Ethereum, it's if you're transferring an ERC20 with nothing else going on, no real contract, logic or interactions, it's still pretty cheap. Like even when Gwei is high, it might be, $2, $3, but a lot of our tokens, I would think, are probably not necessarily Ethereum mainnet based ones as well. So yeah, we'll handle all that. It's part of our operational costs, if you want to call it. Now, what you do after that, once you have those tokens, if you swap them or sell them, that's on you, of course.
Okay. All right. Our next question comes from Gabriel, who writes, "Thank you for allowing me to participate. I have two questions. One, with the goals and objectives outlined in the Monstro's Universe roadmap, what are the critical milestones that your team is prioritizing? And what plans do you have to overcome technical and market challenges inherent to achieving your goals?"
So I'll speak to the challenges first. Technical challenges, we're pretty lucky that we have access to a lot of resources. These are resources we've worked with in the past, including, first and foremost, myself. For the moment, I am our main dev as far as smart contracts go. And then we have a great team of different guys we can call on demand as far as the front end, Web3 integration, that type of stuff. So it's technical. We don't really face much hurdles because Master Brews, our former company, was a tech company that took on, we probably served about 40 clients in the space. Some of them, some pretty large names. So yeah, the tech side, luckily, I think it's always great, when a founder on the team is deeply technical and experienced. And I've been a startup CTO for, since about 1998 in various industries. So it's definitely been my whole career. So that's absolutely an advantage we have when it comes to building things and planning things and whatnot. And the second part about, what's our priorities next? What's the market challenges? Right now, our farming is high risk, high APR, right? A lot of people want to invest with us in farming, but on a lower risk tier, I guess I could say. So we actually have a product coming out after MOONBAGZ. That's the next thing on the list. It's called GOLEMZ, and it's going to work in a similar fashion, except for the fact we've found a way with partners from DEXs, with agreements with them and such, that we can actually have exclusive pools that never face impermanent loss, that there's mathematically just no way for their value to be lost. And on those, we'll get rewards from the DEXs. We will give them a portion back. They're also getting the TVL increase. And we're going to be able to offer 80 to 100% APR with basically no risk, no loss. I won't say no risk because obviously, I guess a contract could be exploited, something can happen, but no impermanent loss risk is better. So this is something we think could really attract some people that are currently sitting on the sidelines. They've mentioned they like Monstro, they like the way we operate, but our current yield farming, they don't like the idea of sitting in impermanent loss or the volatility involved where, our best week was 17%, our worst weeks are, currently about 1 point something percent. So it's, that I think could be a major product for us. After that, the next thing is probably going to be our migration to Base. And alongside that is going to be a white label affiliate system for FARMZ and later for our other products. Because we already have a couple of people lined up who want that. They just want to brand it, offer it to their community, get a cut of the team side of it. and let it all work, the way our stuff works. So we already have, people that are lined up to pilot and beta test this. But again, white labels are always huge in any industry. It's a great way to expand, horizontally, and let those communities and people do the marketing for you to expand, right? So these are the things we have lined up. The migration to base is obviously a major part of our future. We're doing that not just for our DeFi side, but because there is going to be, we think, a lot of onboarding going on, from everything we've seen from the Coinbase team, from the base team. Smart Wallet it has a huge number of features. We were in a private session with their devs like 2 weeks ago, and there's a lot of cool stuff coming in that will absolutely help instant onboarding and making things easy for people who are not in the space or new to the space, and also improving on some things like even as simple as bundling transactions. Everyone here knows, if you've ever bought something, sometimes you have to approve to spend USDC, then do your mint, right? These can all be combined in a really, really smart and gas effective way now, with things that base chain's doing. So it's somewhere we think is going to have a really good run this next cycle, and we want to be there as our headquarters. And last thing I'll mention is we do have our token upcoming. We released the tokenomics on this maybe a week and a half ago, and that's something that's really important to our ecosystem, because it's the vehicle by which we make those optimist people we mentioned at the beginning. That's their best chance of being whole. They will all get an allocation from this token. We have some really strong tokenomics, some unique features, and it's going to share and be part of everything in our ecosystem, from the games that we have now, developments resuming. We have all our DeFi products, what they make, the ones we have planned for the future, and some outside crypto revenue sources, even including a mobile like Web 2 Match 3 style game called Monstro's Match Mania. And that we just released to the initial investors, the MVP build. They're testing it out. We're going through the phases of getting it listed in the App Store. But yeah, there's a lot behind Monstro, and not all of it is obvious if you just give us a 2-minute look. So
yeah, that's why we do these shows, boss man. It's hard to dissect something like this in 5 minutes. All right, Gabriel's next question: in the context of the project's expansion and evolution, how are new features and updates planned to be integrated to enrich the current user experience? And what role will the Monstro token play in this process of growth and adoption?
So the token, there's a lot we can talk about. That probably needs its own AMA. But
oh boy.
To answer briefly, it's both a facilitator, it's a community tool, right? Like communities love rallying behind their token, brings people a little more closer together. The other part of it is it opens a lot of marketing avenues for us when we're talking expansion that right now are closed to us. So, we work with a company called Fracus, who, some of their big clients are Square Enix and some other gaming and DeFi companies.
I was gonna say, I know Square Enix.
Yeah. Final Fantasy, and a couple other things. But they're the ones doing our rebranding right now with us. So the thing there is they've shown us that some of these, for example, Twitter Spaces hosts or different groups that want to talk about us, the founders or the leaders of those groups refuse because of the whole NFT aspect, and they're more willing with a token. So it's kind of sad to say how much the NFTs hurt us just because they have a bad image from people last cycle, but it's something we're going to balance out and change.
That's everybody.
But the token absolutely opens new doors, including a lot of places that do host AMAs, or probably not so much these collar groups. Like, we know what their purpose is in the ecosystem. That's not really what we're looking for.
To make money off of embarrassing us all, you mean?
just in general, it's much easier to market a token. There's a lot more avenues than it is for an NFT-based DeFi project alone. So that's the number one thing it's going to help us with expansion. The other thing is it's going to be something where, you know, we're not launching the token to raise funds like most token launches and pre-sales are. We're going to be launching it when we're already a year and a half in. We have a significant track record, and it's going to be something that already has, when it launches, actual purpose and, you know, actual value behind it, and a lot there to back it for future revenue and such. So we, you know, we feel it's going to be a useful token. It's going to be an attractive token, and our first goal with it is actually just, you know, if we reach $100 million market cap, let's say by the end of next cycle, then we're happy that our mission on paper is accomplished for recovering those optimist people all the money they lost, you know, money they lost not with us, with the previous team there. That would be an awesome story to have. And so many, you know, we're looking at,
It
I think
would.
it's 1,700 investors from there who are active, like who actually, you know, we gave them an NFT representing their loss once we had figured it all out. So we know how much every person lost during that whole, you know, debacle. It would be awesome for us, and it's definitely one of our goals with the token, to say, look, all those people, we were able to make them whole from such a massive, massive loss. And I know a lot of them probably don't have high hopes, but you know, we do. We think it's still completely realistic and possible. And the token is a vehicle to achieve that. And why I say on paper is because we know, of course, some people might sell along the way, right? Some might have already sold their NFT. You know, some people might hold on and stake it, and then it later, you know, eventually goes down next bear cycle. So we can't say, you know, that part is on them, what they choose to do with it. But if we achieve that goal, that's like the first stop on our list of objectives for it.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed your NFT sales don't take any secondary market royalties either, which personally I think is generous of the project to offer that.
Yeah, I mean, it's never going to be something where it causes a huge change, right, to our bottom line. We're not the type of, again, like, we're not a PFP project with hype on the NFTs themselves, because you can come buy them on demand from our site itself, except for the older ones. So it's really more about just letting people who, you know, they want out, they want money for whatever reason. Could be personal, could be results are lower, they don't like the lower results. Whatever the reason is, it gives them an avenue to get out, and get out pretty easily, because we know in other NFT projects, liquidity is always an issue, right? Unless it's like one of the hyped one of the moment. And sometimes, yeah, you get, even if the floor is X, you can't find a buyer and you're just stuck for months with it. Not the case here, because anybody who's tried to sell it at a, you know, a proper price, a fair price, it's sold. Even we
Relative
had a
to the
person
floor, I'm
who,
sure.
yeah, we had someone lose one that they
Ooh.
didn't expect to sell. They put up the price as a joke, and someone bought it for, you know, thousands of dollars, and they were like,
Nice.
"Oh no, my NFT's gone, and now they can't get it back because no one else is selling that particular one."
Ouch. Yeah, that's a common thing. All right, our next question comes from the Sam Bankman. Thank you for joining us from jail. In terms of security, how does Monstro's universe differentiate itself from platforms that have faced security breaches, such as Poly Network or Wormhole?
So we actually just posted a statement about this. I think it was 2-3 days ago. It was this week, because another project a lot of our community in were, you know, they had some massive issues, let's say. I'm sure a lot of you in here probably know which project that is, but yeah, we just posted a restatement kind of what we do. There's a lot of things we do that are against, you know, popular opinion, but it's been working for us. It works for us. We think it's the right thing to do, and one of that is, you know, we don't use multi-sigs. We don't use multi-sigs at Monstro. Um, we also use wallets that are old, meaning everything in Monstro was our same master brew wallet that only two people have ever had access to. We're both still co-founders. We've both known each other for over a decade in real life, and that's with my co-founder Adam. So even the rest of our team, and this is absolutely nothing against them, like Gabo's here in the audience, but nobody else has access. We keep it as limited as possible. Smart contracts, again, we have a lot of experience with that. We've been developers of them for years, for a lot of extensive, complicated ones. I'll say the Monstro ones dealing with NFTs are quite simple compared to, you know, some of the things we've done and audited and such. So it's, you know, unless someone, yeah, I mean, they'd have to get our seed phrase right to steal money from the wallet and the positions. Now, we can have positions that go bad. We can lose some money in those. Usually, you know, most farming and stuff, they're all just, you know, forks of Uniswap, forks of PancakeSwap. Very rarely are they unique and different. If they are, we vet them out strongly. But we can still lose funds as far as like liquidity pulls and, you know, some shady actions that people, they seem to get smarter at them, you know, every day, every week.
But like your
But that's
Monstro's
also
not a swap, so there's not like any
no.
vulnerability of the liquidity being swapped for anything because of weird swap functions or anything like that.
Right. Everything is on external places. Most of them are, you know, large battle tested contracts. But like we are high risk. So we have done dexes where not necessarily that the, you know, the liquidity gets pulled or contract exploited, but shady things happen with the actual token we're holding, right? Like as one of the half of the pool assets, things like that. There's definitely been cases. We're better at avoiding those now than we were at the start, right? We gained experience and learned things along the way. So
At this point, it
it's
feels like the bare minimum for me to just ask projects not to provide liquidity to frickin' Tornado Cash.
yeah, no, ours are more just about farms, right? And sometimes it's an honest thing where the dex doesn't take off, doesn't garner interest. Like we tried to be on one of the first ones on OPBNB, for example, which is a Binance layer 2. We had heard Binance was going to push it hard. Let's just say they didn't push it at all. So there's a
Sounds
place
like
there where
Binance.
that one, you know, we have a small position that lost most of its value, but that's part of the risk. It wasn't due to exploits or anything shady. So that stuff happens too. And altogether, the security, though, as far as our wallet, so this is something we were talking about the other day with people. It's counterintuitive to say, yeah, we use old wallets, we don't create new ones or separate out the funds, because that's actually more dangerous. At this point,
Yes.
if we have a wallet that's had millions pass through it multiple times over 3.5 years and there's 0 incidents, we feel that's much safer than introducing a new wallet, creating a new seed phrase. Maybe now I have, you know, a keylogger that would capture that I didn't have back then. And if I never enter the seed phrase again on our old one, it's more secure than creating a fresh one, right? So a lot of people don't see it that way, but that's kind of how we view things like that.
Okay, just responding to a goober in the chat. All right, our next question from Sam Bankman. Can you describe the disaster recovery plans for Monstro's universe in the case of a significant security breach or technical failure?
Yeah, so if it's a contract bug or failure, meaning something to do with the NFTs, etc., because we're the ones initiating like payday every week, for example, it would not be a problem. It would just be a minor inconvenience for us to fix it, right? Like, even though we can't fix the contract, we can release a new one, do a migration. We know everyone who, you know, held the NFTs, etc., up to the exploit, let's say. So all of that is well within our realm to fix if it ever occurred. Like I said, the only thing we can't fix is obviously if someone gained complete wallet access and stole funds. That's something obviously that's a problem for everybody out there. The other issue is, let's say I were to die, you know, tomorrow. Yeah, Adam is the redundancy. He would know, you know, certain things. Now, would he find someone else he trusts or start doing some of the stuff I do himself? Or would he just offer the community a refund, say, look, you know, we've decided as a team we're closing down. These are options he has and we've spoken about. But hopefully that's not a day that comes soon. But yes, there, you know,
Yeah,
unless
no one's over
absolutely,
here wishing security exploits on people. Not me,
yeah.
anyway.
So So obviously, unless there was like a major event that affected all of crypto, I think in our positions we're pretty good here. We're pretty safe, like to a level where we're not creating a massive inconvenience to try to spend all our time on security, right, and not actually do anything.
Okay. Excellent. Our next question comes from the Monero guy. It seems like you can only invest in the indexes before the composition of the index is revealed. Will there be an option for investors who aren't satisfied with the composition to exit without waiting a year or paying major fees?
So to exit early, yes, but there is that penalty fee. So there wouldn't be an option where you don't like our picks and you can just return it right away. Now, what you could do is you could sell the NFT right on any marketplace. So that is an option. Obviously, if there's other people who missed out and who want in, which we think will be a thing. It has been a thing with all our past series of NFTs and lines and products. But again, maybe not. Maybe everyone hates our picks, and there's no demand for it. So yeah, we can't guarantee you'll have a way to sell it easily, but we can say that it is something where the people are trusting us to make those picks, and we don't reveal them all up front because number one, a lot of people would just go copy it, right? Some people would still use
Yeah,
it for
they
the service factor, but the majority of it loses its kind of appeal. Um, it's also fun, right? Like people who know us are putting some serious money. People who don't, hopefully it's money you can risk. You can, if these picks go wrong. That said, from the position we're in into the bull market, it's going to be hard to make a bad pick, we think, especially as an experienced team, right? Doing a lot of research. Doesn't mean every token will hit. Maybe, some will hit less than expectations, but I really think it's going to be hard for anybody to lose money. Now,
unless you're
maybe they
buying
lose
the meme coin
opportunity
bag,
cost.
I'm just gonna say that I'm not a meme coin guy.
Even there though, like because there is a mix of tokens in it, I can tell you that some of those tokens are going to be the leaders or the first movers, right, on different chains and such. So, or some that have been there last cycle. We're not going to pick ones that are fly by nighters that just pop up because we know most of those, like 90 something percent of those, we'll never see 12 months from now. So even in the meme one, there's going to be different, of course, ranges. Maybe there'll be one or two in there that are these, promising new 1000x types. But for the majority of token picks, there's stuff we feel confident will be there in a year and will still have, more value than now.
I'm just happy you're not telling me that your meme coin selection is Doge, Pepe, XRP, and Cardano.
I guess those count as meme coins at this point, right?
I couldn't stop myself. I had to crack a joke. All right. Our final question from Monero Guy. Do the investors have any influence over selected assets and any buys, sells made along the way? If the index fund loses money, do the investors take the loss in full plus the fees?
No, so our fee, think of it like a performance fee, I guess, if you want to call it that. If we sell at a loss, we're not making anything. We're only making money on the actual profits and the return people make. So, that's something you don't have to worry about. But obviously, yes, every token in one index, for example, could absolutely, be a loss and you only get some money back in a year. Or maybe I highly doubt it, but every token in the basket could go to zero, right? It's not realistic, but yeah, in that case, your $50 would be lost. But no, we're not. Especially when people lose money, we have seen it. So I get the question where projects take their fee regardless, and
Yes.
it especially happens when they have an upfront fee. But no, everything in Monstro is about winning together, and it always has been, and that's why everything we do is in synergy where you make money, we make a cut of the money you made.
Okay, that means obviously that you guys are incentivized to do better for the whole group. It's not just
Yeah,
a self
exactly. And there's
endeavor.
never a conflict of interest, right? Because everything we decide is to try to make you the most because that makes us the most.
That's a smart way to do it, Chief. Okay, our next question comes from Blur Rev. Can you explain the difference between X Monstro and Monstro and how exactly the 1 to 3 burn ratio works?
Yeah, so X Monstro is not an actual token. That's what's going to be purely smart contract based, but it is our vesting mechanism for the token. So everything, unless you actually buy the Monstro token or you use some of these features where you can burn X Monstro, I think that rate was 5 to 1. Other than that, everything, everything given out is going to be in the vesting token. And invest daily is going to unlock 0.15% by default with some options to speed that up. So this is our way, based on all the tokenomics we've helped consult for, all the mistakes we've seen, all the things we saw some people do right. This is like our combination of everything we've learned to date and seen to date, how we think we can make our token the strongest, the healthiest out the gate, both short term and then long term. And yeah, the vesting mechanism that X Monstro is a big part of controlling those kind of inflation and outflows. And then as far as the 3 to 1, that's just one of the couple of ways you can speed up your vesting if you choose. And it's if you buy a liquid Monstro token, if you burn it, then you can vest immediately 3 of your X Monstro. So it's something that is healthy over time because obviously a little bit of deflation there is only going to help the token in the future. So it's also going to add buying pressure for you to acquire that Monstro. So yeah, some people might buy a bunch of Monstro, burn it all to vest all their tokens, and potentially dump them all if that's their plan. That's fine because that would incur a short-term hit for long-term health and long-term benefit. And that's what everything is designed around, being able to give people a few options, but at the same time, make sure our tokenomics are as strong as we can when it comes to the inflation rate, emissions rates, and such, and then having deflationary options as well. So we're very happy with it. We've consulted a lot of people, a lot of smart people in the space, and we think people are also going to really like how it works once it's out.
Awesome. Blur's second question. For MOONBAGZ, do we get to see the breakdown of what tokens and the quantity are within each MOONBAGZ NFT, either before or after purchasing it? Or is this just a blind allocation thing and these selections are locked in for the duration once the NFT is purchased?
So we will have a specific MOONBAGZ dashboard that'll be ready. Right now it's with the designer, so it'll be ready before the sale, and everybody will be able to track both, all the buckets. Everything will be public, as well as their own personal, oh, here's what I have in each. Here's my personal ROI and status and everything in real time, based on the values and such. So yes, we will have absolutely a MOONBAGZ dashboard everyone will have access to. And the only thing that's going to be delayed slightly is we're doing it one for the if we dump all our picks the day we buy them, it does allow copycats to not buy in and just wait for that moment, right? It's a small window, so that'll be the 12th of June when we close our window here. So we're actually doing the reveal of picks, one per index per week. So meaning every week we'll reveal 8 tokens, one from each of those narratives, and that'll run for 12 weeks. At the end of that, basically the wallet holding them will be completely public, like all our others, for farming, for everything else are. And anyone can verify anytime, they're still holding it. They are holding the ones they revealed, they said. They can view the transactions, right? When we sell some, when we cash things in. Literally everything about Monstro has always been about transparency. So there's no difference here other than it'll take 12 weeks just to get to that point where you see everything in the wallets and everything is public. Along the way, you're going to get tokens revealed every week. It's also a way for us to do a fun community event. So getting people together, revealing the token picks for that week, revealing, why we picked them, that type of thing.
Okay, very cool. Well, we are approaching the hour mark. I always want to be respectful of the team's time and attention, but we've got like 10 more questions to get through. So
Yeah.
if
The
you'd be
team
willing
the
to,
team time is fine. We're happy to answer questions, and it's great that people have so many questions. Sometimes we do some AMAs, right, and it's just silence, and I don't think it's always because we, do the best job explaining. There's just no questions. I like when communities have questions. So as long as you want to run here
more
and answer
coming
them,
in. Well, I try to be as respectful as I can of all of the listeners' time and attention, both right now live on Discord and on Twitch, as well as later on for the people watching the video. But more coming in. Thanks, my man. Rum is coming through with some great questions. Oh, this is great. Yeah, no, we've got some great stuff to keep getting through. And with that, we will keep on going. Our next set comes from 0xInfDev, who asks, what marketing strategies have proven effective for Monstro's universe in attracting a diverse and engaged user base? And how do they compare to those used by other successful projects in Binance Smart Chain's gaming arena?
So I can say that it's by far the hardest part of everything we do is marketing. Um, Dabo's, our head of marketing. We have Adam who assists in different areas, but it is extremely difficult because just like any industry in its infancy, it is truly very cliquey. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of groups who only work with themselves. And until you can break into such groups, you're excluded. You're left on the outside. It's not, as much as people say, Web3 is all about collaboration. Our findings are it's extremely difficult to actually collaborate with people. Communication is horrible in the space. Things are, mid conversation, ghosting is the norm. People who will get back to you have to be chased like little kids. I'm not on the marketing side. And I'm very happy about that because I would go insane. But I will say it's extremely difficult. What we have found from everything we've tried, and we've tried a lot, whether it be display ads, whether it be debank messaging, whether it be, alternative
Yeah.
things to just typical Twitter and Discord and Telegram and such. Um, YouTubers do work for us. Obviously depends on which ones, and we have to weed through a lot of them. That has worked, and AMAs on Discord, because we have such, a lot of things going on. AMAs seem to work the best and get us the best results because people can really hear everything, ask their questions, then come over and check it out. Whereas if you just have someone, blasting a message or posting a paid tweet or doing things like that, you can't convey what Monstro does and some of the complexities to it. So that's what's worked for us. It's also been very product dependent. So when we had DGens, which was, the ROI DApp, the marketing for that was much easier to reach people and catch their attention when you're throwing out, up to 6% a day and, XYZ, which are things you cannot mention when you're talking about, yield farming or long-term products or things like that of that nature. So maybe, Gabo is someone, if people want to speak to him, he's happy to take your DMs. He can obviously answer much better about marketing than I can. I'll just say it's by far the thing we've had the most trouble with, and the thing that continues to be the most trouble for pretty much anybody we talk to in the space. It's still a very small circle on this DeFi side, even smaller when you consider like the good actors, right, in the projects and communities that are not there for shady reasons. So
Yeah.
yeah, that'll be my answer. It's frustrating at times, especially on the lack of proper communication.
Yeah, Gabo, if you have any other thoughts, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll be sure to capture those in the recording. All right. Dev's next question. What new marketing initiatives are planned to expand the user base further and increase platform visibility? And personally, I would just add as a follow up, I'm a big fan of AMAs myself, especially when you can give authentic, direct engagement to the audience and not, sock puppet bots standing up pretending to be engaging people. And I'd further add on to that Brave browser seems to be a good way to directly advertise to a lot of privacy-focused users as well.
Yeah, so I'll answer about Brave first. Brave, they were, when we had Master Brews originally, and we had our first fundraising sale there, we used NFTs for it in a very different way than the norm. We used Brave. We did a full page ad with them at the time, which was pretty much our whole budget. Luckily, it worked
Jeez.
out. We got some whales from it, and it panned out. But yeah, when we tried to use them for things like degens, it's even them, like even a company like them, their communication is terrible. We had to chase
I've
them
heard
around
that.
for weeks to get things going.
Yeah, you're not
Things are
the only one
still
who's told me
extremely manual.
they've got
Yeah,
shit
so
response.
while we think once you get your ad running, it can actually have, positive results. Um, it was a disappointing experience the last time we tried to use them. So
You hear that, Brave? If you're listening, shape the fuck up.
yeah, Brave, you guys were much better 3 years ago.
Oh, sad. All right. Our next question from PR Thomas. Both questions are about MOONBAGZ. One, how are the celebrity guests selected? And if their earnings are based purely off of how many people can invest in the fund and not necessarily performance, are you taking measures to ensure that each index fund is attracting investors in a fair and honest way?
Yeah, so just to clarify on their fee doesn't come, it's not upfront either. It's a cut of our cut. So meaning, only if people in that index that they choose make money from our cut, we're giving away a third of it to the special guests. So there's no also, just to clarify, everything runs through our same system. Literally all they do is give us their picks and then also just hopefully promote it to their communities or followers or such, right? So it's more about if you like this person once they're revealed, you trust this person's picks, you think they know what they're talking about. Maybe you're already, in their community and you're coming over. That's really all it's about. It's about just adding a little fun. Nothing, there's nothing they can do. They don't touch the money. They don't have access to anything. It's really just a little bit of fun. And if you happen to like that person and, follow them or just think they're great at picking tokens, you can buy into theirs just like you would any of ours where the team's the ones picking them. So that's really all the mystery guest is about. As far as how we selected them, so we ran through a list, right? Obviously, there was a lot of people who didn't answer us, becoming, very, very common. There were some people who didn't really feel like they could do a good job at it. They wanted to stay away, which is unfortunate because we think some of them would have done a great job. And at the end of the day, we went with folks we know, folks we've known for a while, typically other project founders or other influencers and people we've worked with. We know their communities are legitimate. We know that they're just trying to put forth an honest effort in what they do. So that's who we have. We got some confusion. One person asked us, is Snoop Dogg one of them? And no. Snoop Dogg is, well, that might have been great for visibility. He is not one of our guest celebrities. I can sadly share that fact.
1, 2, 3 to the 4. Snoop Doggy Dog and Xerox Various at the door.
Oh yeah. I mean, he had obviously his run in the NFT cycle last time, where I'm pretty sure any of his stuff that anyone bought is down like 99%. So
uh, there's just celebrities pumping memes. It's just awful. Don't get me started. All right. Um, question 2 from PR Thomas. Do we get any information on the fund other than the narrative focus, e.g., AI, and the approximate number of tokens before the sale window closes? And can we still invest once the window closes?
So I think we kind of went over how it works, right? We have a delayed reveal, so you won't know before the sale closes the tokens. We will say there's 8 to 12 per narrative, and they're going to be allocated it doesn't mean they have to have the same allocation. So within a bucket, we're going to try to manage the risk and also the potential. So there might be one or two that only get a small, 2-3% of the money of that index. And then there might be some that get, 15, 20, 25% if we feel they're going to balance the rest of the risk right out of that index. So that's the most I can really say there, is that 8 to 12 tokens per narrative. The allocation doesn't have to be equal like parts for each of them, and then we'll be revealing them every week after the sale ends. So before that, yeah, you won't be able to tell, but if you guys have followed us for a while and stuff, some of the tokens we're fans of and we've talked about on different AMAs and stuff. But in general, yeah, it's just something where if you like what we're doing, right, you think we're experienced or smart enough people that we're hopefully going to make some good picks, invest. If you really are someone though who picks tokens and trades and does stuff on your own, feel free to continue doing that. It's not it's really just for I would say for fun and profit. A lot more leaning to the profit, but it is a fun thing. It is a community type gathering event, right? Everyone's going to be cheering tokens on together. It's probably going to let people, once the picks are out, learn more too about the space and about these tokens and these companies, because they'll go, do a bit of their own research on why we might have picked it. So I think overall it's just going to be a bunch of positives for this.
All right. Our next question comes from Golden CD.
Oh, sorry, I missed the second part of that. I rambled too much. The second part was after the sale window closes.
Yes.
So we will never add new money into the existing indexes. What we reserve the right to do is add a new type of index, because A, there will be new tokens coming out. B, there are narratives that didn't make these 8 that maybe something changes and they look like they're going to be a top runner. Maybe that's GambleFi, maybe that's SocialFi, right? Maybe there's some pre-sale tokens once the bull run just starts, and we want to release an index focusing on those. So yeah, we reserve the right to create new indexes in the future at any time, but the ones for this sale, once they're closed, we won't be like trading or letting people in them. It's not like a mutual fund where we'll have like a NAV, like a value per day, right? And you get in at that value. So we're keeping this one pretty simple and straightforward. We already have a lot of complicated products, so we want to make this as easy as possible for people.
All right. Our next question comes from Golden CD, who asks, how does MOONBAGZ integrate qualitative forces or factors such as community sentiment and developer activity into its index construction? Specifically, what methods are used to assess these qualitative factors, and how do they weigh against traditional quantitative metrics in the decision-making process?
It's a pretty manual, team effort there. We vet things in a way. We've been vetting a lot of dexes and tokens for over a year now when it comes to our yield farming. So a lot of those same techniques apply when we're vetting a token out. But obviously we know, depending on the narrative, there are some things that don't matter. Like in the memes, it's all going to be about the actual meme itself. Things like, was it a first mover on its chain? What's the chain's potential? What's its competition like there? And obviously community is a huge one for that, seeing how active they are and such. And then there are some metrics you do look at, like holder distribution, inflation, things that are coming. One of them I would say is something I think so many people overlook when I hear them talk about tokens that are down from last cycle and how they're gonna at least get back to their all-time high this cycle. A lot of them don't realize that a lot of those tokens from last cycle, they now have 2 or 3 or 4x the actual number of tokens in circulation than they did back then. And these are things we do look at that I feel not necessarily everyone does. So for example, if a token hit $100 last time, and this time let's say it's $20 right now, people are like, great, it's probably going to 5x, at least get back to $100, but its supply is 4 times higher right now. Maybe it won't get back to $100, right? So That's a lot of stuff we do look at, and I'd say it's a wide scope, and it is dependent on the specific token and to a degree the specific narrative.
Okay. Golden CD's second question. Considering the diverse nature of tokens that would be included in the MOONBAGZ indexes, how does the platform manage the varying levels of volatility across the different tokens? Are there specific risk management frameworks or hedging strategies employed to protect investors from extreme market fluctuation?
So because it's based on holding for the bull run, and because we have a lot of tokens, well, 8 to 12 within the index, um,
Oh, yeah. That's
if
insane.
something drastic were to happen to one of those in there that holds a significant part of the allocation, yeah, that would be something we'd have to look at. Do we liquidate this? Do we trim it? Do we just hold expecting a realistic chance of recovery? What was the case behind it? What happened? It's very hard to talk to without a specific case, happening at the moment to discuss. But, if it's smaller ones, yeah, that's going to be less of a concern. And, unless we can't really picture a whole narrative doing bad, no matter what the narrative is. And we also can't really picture from 8 to 12 tokens having more than potentially 2 to 3 misses per index, and they'll be well covered by the others. So we're really confident in it, but to answer a specific situation, we kind of need that situation to pop up to talk about it, like, or at least a good example of one, I guess. Because top of my head, I can't think of anything with the type of tokens we're looking at where, they would just go to zero or crash, from here, crash 90% or something outside of the meme narrative, because we all know that one is
Yeah,
crazy
I
high
was gonna
risk.
say
And it's
outside the meme narrative. Let's say it was like an AI project that an industry insider found out was hawking user data that no one knew it was collecting or something.
Yeah, so we think that those types, are generally going to be on the low end of the allocation in there. I'll give away one pick because everyone knows I love this token for, a long time now. But for example, in our AI or DPIN, we'll probably have render in there, right?
I was gonna
And
say
render,
render's a gimme.
yeah. But for example, I've been a fan of that one since it was, a dollar something and promoting it to people. If render, if, suddenly it came out, they lied, they have no partnership with Apple, or, something happened, they got exploited, and now nobody trusts them. Like, I suppose that can happen, and that will absolutely hurt our position in it. But again, it's one of 8 to 12, right? So while in Render's case it might be 15% of the index or something, um, it's still something we think can be absorbed by the other ones that are in there. And it would take something really crazy for the entire narrative and the entire index to all have such a situation happen, I think. So I don't think it's very realistic. And it's something we'd have to, again, stay agile with and just adapt as it comes.
Okay. Let me see. I was trying to find where I was. All right, there we go. Our next question comes from Muhal. Why did you choose NFTs instead of tokens for buying into Moonbags? Is there a benefit to having buy-ins in larger increments?
So for this product, some of our products have upper tiers, right, that do offer extra perks. Here it doesn't. Here it's just, fair game for everyone. If you have $50 to invest or you have 50,000 to invest, you're getting exactly the same thing. So we didn't offer anything here. We felt like for this product, again, it's really just something we wanted to keep simple. So there are no different perks. There are in our farms where we have a lot more going on, like different ROI cycles, and some of our people who spend, above $10,000 with us, for example, they get custom art, they get different Discord roles, they get better terms on when their cycles lower themselves. They have different fee structures, so there's different perks for other things, but for this, no, everybody's the same. That's why we use 1155 NFTs. They're all fungible, they're all the same. As far as using tokens, we don't want any confusion in anything else we do. to interfere with our actual token launch, which is still, months away, months out. We don't feel we're at the right point for it yet, nor is the market sentiment. So we have thought a lot about, should we have tokens for different things? And even though they could be useful, an NFT is still a token, and especially using 1155s, they're fungible, right? They're fungible tokens. So your, AI NFT representing your share is identical to mine representing my share. So it lets us continue on with the art that we know people are here for money, but people do enjoy our art. They do enjoy the vibrant, positive energy it kind of brings. And we think that does help us with some folks, perfect example was one of the guys yesterday who bought some of ours. He bought 6. Then he looked at it and said, "Oh man, I really like the art on one of the 2 I didn't buy. I'll just buy those 2 also." And so it does help us, like, even if it's a minimal amount, and it keeps things, just fun and positive in a space where most financial sites look the same, right? And that's always been the case, through Web 2 and Web 1. It just, yeah, it helps us using NFTs. And we're also, quite a few people now who come from the DeFi side, we're their first NFT, which is always cool, right? Maybe it helps them explore other NFT projects and get more into it. And it's always nice being someone's first.
Absolutely. Okay, Muhal's second question. Does transferring ownership of NFTs transfer rights to own and withdraw them? And when you cash out, what happens to your NFT?
Yeah. So when I'll answer the second part first. If you
Sure.
request an early withdrawal, that actually goes through the smart contract and burns your NFT in creating that request. So that's something that we made as easy as possible. On your dashboard, it's going to be a simple button, right? If you want to request withdrawal, how many of your NFTs do you want to burn? That'll take care of it. Now, as far as if we pay you out, we're letting people keep their NFTs because number one, they still have a share. Like if we liquidate only one token and pay that out, they still need to hold their share of that same index for the other tokens. And even when it's the last one gone of that index, there's no reason, right? It's a particular NFT for a particular index. So when it's all paid out, it might have no future value. But already one person asked us yesterday if he can keep it as a souvenir. He wanted to frame it and put it on his wall. So yes, there's no reason to burn them or get rid of them once you're paid out. They don't There's no chance that someone's going to get overpaid or extra paid with it or anything like that. Now, as far as transferring, yeah, if you transfer the NFT, all the rights go with it. So let's say you happen to sell it to somebody a day before we liquidate a token and pay out. Well, whoever the current holder at that moment is, they're the one that will receive the payout. It won't be a case of, oh, but I held it 99% of the time till now. I should get 99%. They should get 1%. No, obviously it's the current owner is the current beneficiary.
Okay. Yeah, that makes the most sense, honestly. Okay. Our next question comes from Gronk. Is selling MOONBAGZ done through the smart contract or similar means where payment is insured rather than trust-based?
Yeah. So if you look at our smart contract, we have it in our announcement. It'll be in our. I just got to add it to our wiki today and such. But in the smart contract, there's a couple of different functions for this. Now, there's still the manual trust factor, and the reason for that is we still have to buy the tokens, and not all of them are going to be on EVM chains necessarily. So if we were restricting ourselves to EVM chains, and if we were restricting ourselves to only one chain, we could hold those tokens in the contract themselves. But that's not the case because we don't want to limit ourselves that way. We definitely are going to be buying across different chains. But yes, the NFT sale is directly with the contract. The funds go to a wallet that is in there, which we'll call the MOONBAGZ wallet, if you want to call it that. And that wallet's visible, right? You can see all the funds being collected. And once the sale ends, that wallet is then where we'll start sending around, bridging, using the money to buy tokens. Someone asked, why can't someone follow and see everything you buy then day one, which would defeat the purpose of a delayed reveal? And yes, for that purpose, we're going to bridge it over to a different wallet. And this way, people can't track it for the moment. We'll do all our purchases as we reveal them, then we'll send them back right at the end. So basically, by September 1st, which is when that 12 weeks of reveal ends, yes, in the wallet, you'll absolutely see that everything is there. You'll be able to look at it on DBank or however you want. Until then, it is a matter of trust, but we feel like we've built ourselves to the point where people do trust us. We're almost here a year. We've dealt with, 2 million invested in the farms, 1 million paid out, all our positions, all our wallets, everything has been transparent. Degen's the same. We took in a little over $1 million there. It worked, exactly as it was announced and as it was transparent. And although, people wish it ran longer, as is always the case with ROI dApps, the safety net part was enacted. They are getting paid every week still, whoever was involved in it. So yeah, we've never given people a reason not to trust us yet. I will say though, yeah, there's always a manual component. And even if everything was in the contract, there's absolutely ways we can still work around that, with justifiable ways, right, to be able to operate this type of thing. And the distribution is the same way. There's a distribute function in the contract. We simply call that function with the amount of USDC we're paying out, with which index ID, and it'll detect in real time, okay, here's all the different splits, like the different holders, essentially iterating through all the holders of that NFT at the moment and giving them their USDC. So, again, it's initiated by us, so that part is manual. And then the contract actually does the, disbursement.
Excellent. All right, Gronk's second question. 12 months is a long time in crypto. How can investors be confident that the indexes will continue to be maintained over this time? I'll add that I'm just grateful you guys have plans and roadmaps measurable in years. That makes me happy, because a lot of projects don't do that. They'll be like, "Oh, we're going to get all this done in 6 months."
Yeah, no, our roadmap quickly goes out of date sometimes. We gotta maybe maintain it a little better, but we definitely have an internal roadmap that's much larger than the public one. It's very well detailed, and there are, a lot of target timeframes and such. Sorry, I completely blanked on what was the actual question. I just answered that
Oh,
end part.
yeah, you're good. You're good. The question is, how can investors be confident that the indexes you're releasing for the NFT mints, how can investors be confident those are going to continue to be maintained over the calendar year you're expecting to run the index?
Yeah, so the best way is, once we have this dashboard up, right, you'll be able to watch them with everyone else. Obviously, every week till September, we'll have a reveal event. In September, right, that's the earliest we're kind of looking at to maybe launch our token. But you'll just be able to see we're very active as a team. We're very communicative. Some people might think we make too many announcements, but we try to keep them to important things. But we're always available to anybody. So if you see that change, that might be the point you should start worrying. But we don't see it happening. We have so much we want to do. We're having fun while doing this and while making money, and it's something I'm in full time, right? I've cut off the decision to do any other form of client work, things like that. So this is really the focus, and especially through these next couple of years, it is, to use the cliche, probably, the last Wild West run and the last like real easy, if you do stuff right, to like set yourself up for life, right? And that is absolutely, I know, my goal, my team's goal, and we want everyone else that's in it with us to to achieve the same. And that's why everything is based on results. So if we don't maintain this well and we abandon this well, we're only hurting not only the investors, but we're hurting ourselves, because again, we make the money off the money you make, right? So
Yeah.
no, we have all the motivation in the world to maintain it as best we can, because we're not taking, 10% up front and great. Whatever happens to it, who cares? We made some money on day one. Not the case at all in everything we do. So,
All right. That brings us to our final questioner. Wow, this has been just fire. Uh, the final questions come from, but why is the rum gone? Question one. What purpose do the MOONBAGZ NFTs serve beyond signifying a stake in the index fund? Will the MOONBAGZ interact with any other parts of the Monstro's universe?
so there's always that possibility. And when we say this, it is a thing that's happened. So to give you a perfect example, when we had that DGen's ROI DApp, we added a feature called boosters where it boosted your daily rate depending on what other Monstro ecosystem NFTs you held. So, for example, if you had a first generation FARMZ or you had one of our partner NFTs, we had one Sparky with SparkSwap. If you had like these different ones, they provided you boosts within this product, even though technically they had nothing to do with this product. So, it's an example of there's nothing defined right now for the MOONBAGZ outside of their actual purpose, but it's always something we have flexibility when we introduce something new. We love to look at ways of, hey, is there a benefit we give to these holders, or is there some type of way to include those NFTs? So the answer is nothing other than their initial purpose right now is defined for them, but we always leave the door open to use them later.
All right. And Rum's second question. Assuming the NFTs do not play a vital role in MOONBAGZ, could direct payments be an option for buying in? Given the current sentiment toward NFTs, have you considered other options?
Yeah, we thought about just letting people, buy in and just recording their wallet and their holdings in the contract. Wouldn't be very hard to do. But no, again, we like our NFTs. We realize that to the outside world, it might be hurting us marketing wise. But for something like this with a limited sale window, we also feel like, other than some of these AMAs we're doing, like with yourselves, a lot of our buyers are coming from our existing community for this one. We don't need, the good thing about this product is we don't need a minimum amount. We don't need like a crazy hype for the first 5 minutes of the sale or it's a failure. None of this typical stuff you see with like a token pre-sale or an NFT project's like real drop and mint, like a PFP project. None of that applies to MOONBAGZ, right? So even now, like we've, I think since yesterday we put it live. Maybe we got the first, $19,000 in. We know a couple of people were asking us questions, moving money around. Like no one feels like there's a desperation because we have this 15-day window and people know that we've explained it well. There's no advantage to buying first, buying last, etc., as long as you get in. If you miss the window, then yes, you're you're out of luck. But it's very different than most types of sales. So because of that, and because it is a lot of our community that we know we're interested in this, no, we like having our NFTs. They draw positive attention from people that like them and like the art. And for this one, we went with marketing with, a small circle of people we know provide value and provide impact. We tried in a few new places, such as yourselves, but obviously that came on, high recommendations to us from our own team. So yeah, we're not worried for this about the NFTs hurting us because it wasn't something we were trying to advertise, really out there and really spend a lot of money with people like the Braves of the world and such. So yeah, for this product, we're happy, to have NFTs. We thought about it for about, maybe 5 minutes, but we all were in consensus that no, we want to have NFTs and we like having them. So
Okay. Yeah, there was a follow up that I'll go ahead and ask, relevant to whether, say, I've minted it, it's in my wallet. Obviously, I'm entitled to some rewards or payouts from the farming if it's one of those NFTs. But I guess what I'm wondering is, let's say I have a farming NFT, I get payouts on Wednesday. What happens to the payouts if I sell the NFT? Do they go to the new buyer?
yeah, so everything is not recording your wallet on chain for that. It's all when the payday script runs on Wednesday. when I initiate it, it does a full real-time gathering of the holders at that moment. So, people, I guess there could be an edge case where if as we're running this payday script, you know, literally a second before or a second after you were transferring an NFT to another wallet, it's possible that it already had just picked you up as being the previous wallet, right? Hasn't happened to us yet, but that's a extremely small edge case, which would be technically possible. And if that's the case, we'll try to help and fix it up and whatnot. Usually, that's more people are just transferring it to their other wallet or something. So they still got the funds, they just got it in their old wallet. But no, generally we've had no problems, and it does real-time detection. So
Okay. And as kind of a final thought, because it came up during the show, would your project be open to integrations and collaborations with decentralized exchanges?
yeah, I mean, on our product GOLEMZ, we're going to be working directly with some dexes. I won't name them yet just because it's not public knowledge yet, since we haven't launched that. But absolutely, we are. And, for our token, the same. If there's things we can do, we have some unique ideas around things like, for example, farming. Everyone uses kind of that traditional weighted model. We want to add in like a loyalty scoring time weight to it, and experiment and try some things. In the past, we've talked with Dexes about implementing a circuit breaker that's automated and trustless, kind of like how it works for manual forex or stocks, and just different ideas time to time. So with Dexes, absolutely, we have a close relationship due to the volume. We farm with quite a few Dexes, so absolutely, we're open to it.
Alrighty, excellent. With that, that concludes the question and answer portion of the show. And that brings me to nearly the end and the hardest part of the show. And that is where this is when I enlist you, Various and Gabo, if you're willing and still in chat there, to help me pick our best question winners. Now you can
there
check.
were a lot of questions. So
Yeah,
that one's going to be hard.
You can check your eligible parties in the pinned messages section. Although one of mine is on there because Blue Whale was trolling me. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I am not eligible. However, all of the users who participated today, they followed the rules. They did not try to influence anything, so they are all eligible. Ah, yes, and Gabo wanted me to ask you, what is the mass density of steel?
Knowing Gabo, I don't even have to think about this. It's a trick question.
Ouch. Burn. But yeah, boss, all of these...
all right, just for that, I'm going to throw it to Gabo to choose the winner.
Oh man, no, there's not just one. That's I can make this a little bit easier for you guys. We can choose 5 winners today. Of the people asking questions, the criterion is, did you like it? Did you enjoy answering the question? Did you feel like it helped to get to the meat of what you're doing, what you're offering, that sort of thing? So if you found them informative and you felt like it was a good opportunity to educate, then those are the kinds of questions that are the most worthy of rewards.
Yeah.
And I always hand this to the visitors to not bias it.
Yeah. Would I scroll through them in the Monstro AMA chat, or?
Yes. Yes, you go to the Monstro AMA chat and go to the pinned messages. You should see our eligible parties.
I'm going to go with a few that I remember from top of my head immediately that were, actually, I think this was the highest quality questions and volume of questions we got in an AMA so far for MOONBAGZ. But yes, definitely Sam Bankman. I remember several of his, and the name obviously stood out. So I will pick Sam Bankman. I will pick the Monero guy. I will pick Rum Gone. I mean, he needs something now that his rum's gone, right?
Rum's always springing his A game.
Those are three that came to mind quick. Let me just scroll through some of the others to see the questions
Monero
here.
guy as well always brings his A game. I really appreciate you guys so much.
I think Mike H's question was one we never got. Like, it's a very different question. So I'm going to pick Mike H.
Good choice. Good choice. That's a good question.
And let me see. You know what? I'm going to go also with Gabriel's question because, he did ask about the Monstro token, but he also asked about, what are our challenges, which is always a nice question you don't hear too often. So that's who I'm going to pick. My apologies to the ones I didn't pick because I think actually everyone here asked legitimately good questions.
They really
which
did.
is, again, very refreshing.
Yes. Yes. All right. There we go. These are our 5 winners. We'll be sure and get you guys paid out post haste. And with that, as always, it is my absolute pleasure to host this event. Every time I get a huge kick out of it. Big thanks to Various for coming out, his marketing guy, Alpha Cruz, who helped set this up, a dear friend of mine from Intelligence on Chain. God, this was awesome.
Yeah, shout out to Alpha and the rest of our team. And I will just say, yes, thank you everyone who spent your time here. It's definitely, what now, an hour 40 of your time we used. So we really appreciated that people were so interested. Now I know our team is known for a while, and especially Alpha. I know now this is also a great, real community, which is great to know.
Yes.
So I'm sure you'll be seeing us more often around here.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, outside of that, I just want to let people know, in case we didn't mention, the sale is now live. It launched yesterday. So you can just go to monstro.fund/moonbags with a Z. And if it interested you, right, feel free to grab a few, join the party with us. And this is something we'd never say on our other products, but to the moon.
Yep, and they can say that because it's not their coin. It's just an index of other people's coins.
Yeah. But yeah,
Beautiful.
it's you know what? It's we're not the type of people that, really pressure people or sure, Gabo, we tease him that he's the Kraken, he's the Schiller with tentacles everywhere. But we really do want people who, join because they like what we're doing, not just because we're shilling it hard or anything.
Links are in the announcement and will be in the description of the YouTube upload. Thank you so much to everyone. Oh, I'll get you covered on the Discord server. Yeah, we're a little
Gabo got
paranoid.
rejected.
Yeah, we're a little paranoid about Discord invites. Don't worry, we'll get the Discord invite posted. It's also available in the announcement for anybody looking. Thank you all so very much, and we shall see you next time.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Nexus, for hosting.
Absolutely, Chief.
Important role in this.
Absolutely, Chief.